Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SSRG and your view. And today, I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about for a while, and that's the fact that a lot of people want scholarships, but they don't know the first step to getting a scholarship. Because getting a scholarship isn't something you start doing when it's time to apply for the scholarship, but it's something you start preparing for. So, in this first video, we are going to be talking about how you prepare ahead of time for potentially applying for scholarships. So, I have with me Ugu, Emmanuel, and Okolito, and we all have benefited from scholarships. So, I'm interested in how different people approached it. So I'm going to start by asking the simple question. How did you always know that you would want to get a scholarship to further your education?
I knew that I wanted a scholarship because just like what you've said, that is what makes you start preparing forehand, right? So even when I was still in the university, I already made up my mind that I was going to apply for scholarships and if possible, go do a master's and even do a PhD and all of that. So when I was still in school, I already started making baby steps towards this plan, like getting the necessary documents ready, trying to channel the little money I had into getting some of these documents down. So, yeah.
I don't know if it makes sense to say, but I'm a first generation student. That's one. Two, like when when I was in final year, I never had plans of scholarship abroad. And that's also because I wasn't paying very much attention to people around me who had scholarship. Plus, there were not so many people around me who had scholarship at the time. So there were not so many people to look up to. So to be very honest, when I finished school, my whole plan was to come back to the university, the same university I was, and do my master's self-funded. So I didn't quite understand that it was possible to do an advanced degree with scholarship. So yeah, that's just my life.
Yeah, I would share the same view with you because when I was an undergrad, I never thought that I would want a scholarship. I didn't think that far ahead.
Mhm.
However, there were things that I was doing when I was an undergraduate student that set me up or put me in a good position. So I didn't
Right.
do those things. I would not say that I did those things because I had the long-term plan of, getting a scholarship, but they just worked out. So that leads me to my next question. If
Hmm.
somebody is thinking ahead, both people who are still in their bachelors and people who have finished their bachelors but they are hoping to apply for scholarship, what are some of the things that you think worked for you that would work for them?
Okay, so let me just talk about this because I was the one thinking ahead, right? The two of you didn't think ahead because you were not serious students. I was. So, so, but the truth is that even though I wanted to get scholarships, I did not even know everything
Right.
that I needed to do.
Hmm.
So to some extent, I also share the same experience with you, doing things that I did not even know would be like useful to me in the long run. But from that experience, I can now, if I were to advise someone, I would say that what you can do is that if you're still in the university for your bachelor's, for example, being a student is a good opportunity to do things that will make it easier or possible for you to get scholarships. For example, the time that you're in school, you can try to start like volunteering with some of the small organizations in school, with some of the small outreaches that go on in school. And one important thing is that it doesn't have to be groundbreaking. Don't think about it like you have to do something big. It's just the little things like little, but be ready to sacrifice your time to some extent. So engage in some of these things because these are the things you finally put down in your CV when you apply for the stuff. So I think it's little engagements.
I would. probably veer off from what you need to do in terms of personally. After graduating, my interest in scholarship peaked when I went for service. And so I was lucky to have met some, my cohorts in the NYC were all applying for NYM scholarships. In fact, we had one guy who had already gone for his master's, AIMS master's, sponsored on scholarship. So that exposure gave me like the needed jump to start. So what I'm going
So
to
you
say
need to
to
surround yourself with like-minded people.
yes, you need to surround yourself with like-minded. It's very helpful. I've heard it so many times. Like when you surround yourself, I know of some guys who said they were five in their group, all applying, writing the application, doing everything together, and all five of them are in the US, in different countries now, doing their advanced education with.
But sometimes, sometimes there is a question of how do you even know the like-minded people to
And
surround
would you even
yourself?
force yourself to insert yourself in
So
people's
yeah, so
group?
I've always heard this. I've always heard this when we say we should try to surround ourselves with like-minded people, which of course I understand and is very important. But for me, I never intentionally surrounded myself with like-minded persons because I never knew them. Yeah, how would I know someone wants to apply for a scholarship? How would I know someone shares the same interest? So for me, it's always complicated. Maybe you should try to talk more about how you were like able to. How do we even surround ourselves with
So
like-minded?
I think there is a simple answer to this.
Right.
Maybe I'm thinking about it differently because
Yeah.
a lot of my friends, like really close friends, all got scholarships, like not just one, multiple scholarships, right? And it wasn't because when we were becoming friends, we had plans of getting scholarship. That wasn't the case. It just
Right.
happened that way. It's just that we connected on different other levels, right?
Right.
So if you connect with people of on other levels, when it's time for this type of things, and you people care about each other and share ideas, then you see yourself, veering towards the same
Yeah.
direction. So
Yeah.
And another contribution I have to make to that is there is also another way getting to like-minded people could happen because sometimes like-minded people also find you.
Mm.
yes,
So, but how do they find you? You have to do something that will make them find you. You have to be yourself, but show some level of commitment in whatever you're doing. For example, this is not me bragging, but I know that when I was in school, at least one or two like-minded lecturers found me. Not like they came to beg me to be their mentee or something, but somehow that like they asked question, who is this person?
it's because
Right.
you are an exceptional student.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
No, boss, I don't think it's because of the academic stuff, but also, just try to be, cool and committed, and
people
I
were
think.
avoiding me. They were saying, "Who is that troublemaker?"
So when you try to, I don't know, I don't want to say, I don't know how best to describe it, but you can do one or two things that will make like-minded people look out for you.
Yeah.
I would like to say that, like, irrespective of the extracurricular activities, which are important, like, I feel like maybe we need to outline these things. One is that volunteering is very important. Getting
Yes.
Yes.
experiences in different areas, both paid and unpaid.
Pushing
Just because you're
yourself.
a student does not mean all you have to do is study. You have to
Yes.
go outside, you have to learn things, you have to engage in other things. If there is an
Yeah.
Yeah.
election coming on, you have to engage, you have to teach people, you have to explain. Like the beauty of, I wouldn't say beauty, but the thing about Nigeria is that we have
There
so
are.
many social issues that
Mhm.
you can always wake up one morning and decide that you see this problem, I am going to start trying to address it. And
Yes.
even if whether you are doing it for scholarship or not, it will still benefit the people that you are doing it for. So
Right.
Yes.
it's there. There are a lot of problems that you can address that would, in the long run, somehow come up to help you. But I also want to say that academics is also very important. Like making good grades is also very important because at the
Yeah.
end of, like, especially now that people are using AI, when so in some applications, when there are too many people that applied for a scholarship, they'll just
Right.
use AI and say, screen out all the people who didn't have at least 2-1.
Mm.
So they would use it to just eliminate people. So maybe you have done so many wonderful things. You've changed the world in your area,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
still didn't meet up. And they used a computer to just eliminate people who didn't have at least 2-1.
That is why it then becomes important for us to explain that while it is good for you to do extracurricular activities, you need to find a balance.
Yeah.
So it's not like when you're supposed to be in your lecture hall or when you're supposed to be reading or studying for exams, you go and join Caritas or Red Cross or anything at that moment. So it's also important that you know when to do what and how. Because just like Prince has said, your grade is also important. It still counts anywhere in the world. A good grade is very strong.
Yeah,
Feel like I feel like another thing I was going to say besides you getting involved is also because I was talking to some friends yesterday and it was interesting that they weren't on LinkedIn. And so I'm thinking now is LinkedIn that important? But it is
it
because
is.
it is important. So put yourself out there. Sign up for LinkedIn. You get opportunities from LinkedIn.
Actually, in some applications, they want your LinkedIn profile there. So,
Right.
and the good thing is, I know LinkedIn has its own issues. Don't get me wrong. Like people go there and talk about things that they haven't done as if they have changed the world. Yeah, but it's still a space. It's like social media, right? It has its
Yeah.
harms,
Right.
but it's also a space where you will see what others are doing. You can challenge yourself to do more. You can see what people in your similar situation, and also there are a lot of people who find jobs, scholarships, volunteer opportunities, and all whatnot on LinkedIn. So you
And
get
and
the
and
point.
how about the connections that you can make with other scholars there, who
Yes,
can even help
exactly.
you review your statement of papers or even guide you on how to write it in the first place. So
Yes.
it's very important.
I want to also say that the competition is heating up. Everything counts right now. So the other thing that a lot of people, like in the past, it didn't count as much, it was taken for granted, is writing both either a blog post for publication in journals, for conferences, and all whatnot. Can you talk about that? Do you think that is important for people to know?
I think that is very important. And now that you mentioned it, I feel like I should go back to someone I was talking to some months back, and they wanted to do a master's, and they were all worked up about not having publication. And I don't know if I was encouraging them, I was telling them that it's not important. But truly, the competition has become tougher, if there's a word like, yeah, tougher. So publication counts, and anything that you can, any tangible that you have, a project, a blog post, research experience, it counts. Even if you don't have it, it's not. I've seen people who are doing their advanced program without PhDs. There are also people who complete their masters or stuff without publications. So it's not like the sine qua non or whatever the English
Yeah,
is, but
it's not everything, but because of high competition, if you can add it to your portfolio, that would be
uh,
fantastic.
yes, yes.
Yes, it's important, but not like you cannot do without it.
But also, it also depends on the program and the level you are going for. If you are
Mhm.
going
Yeah.
for a PhD, right, it is even more important than when you are going for a master's.
Right,
But the other thing is, there are a lot of conferences happening in Nigeria and everywhere in the world.
right.
Submit your abstract, attend those conferences, listen to people's presentation, present both what you are doing and all. It's not just academic papers that are presented in conferences. There are several
Yeah.
things. You can talk about your practice, you can talk about your volunteering in conferences. All those
Hey,
things are important.
And
yes.
also that's where commitment comes in. I always talk about that because of my personal experience and some people have interacted with. What happens is that when people see that I've gotten a scholarship, for example, everybody is going to try to ask me, how did you do it? What type of scholarship? What happened? And then of course you go ahead and tell them, and before you know it, it just fizzles out. Nothing happens. And that is because people need to understand something. if you want to start pursuing a scholarship, it is not something you wake up from your bed in the morning and you start doing. It is something that you decide that even if you did not take the decision a long time ago, but the moment you start thinking that I need to apply for scholarships, you need to make up your mind that you have to do a lot of things because it's not easy. Searching for scholarships, searching for information, writing statements of purpose, it takes time and you have to remain committed. But some people are too tired. They just do one or two Google search and easy. But the truth is that it's difficult. It's
Thank,
not that simple.
thank you, Emma. And I'm going
Yeah.
to end our conversation here because we
Mhm.
are trying to keep it short. And I hope people would have learned one or two things from our conversation so far. In our next discussion on this topic, we'll talk about rejection because that's very important. Rejection is part of the game. You have
That,
to be ready to endure the love letters you will get.
that,
We
Exactly.
will talk
Exactly.
about how to even start looking for scholarships, where to search. Hopefully, Hope will be here because she's the queen of scholarships. And
mm,
then we will
she's
start talking about the nitty gritty in applying for different types of scholarship. And I do have a lot of friends, other friends that we might have to bring in to discuss their experiences,
that would
getting scholarships.
that would
So
be
thank you so much. Remember to like and subscribe and, have a wonderful weekend.